Well, I know who I'm going to vote for president. That's great. How about everyone else? Don't know much about them. Probably will leave them blank or pick random people. Don't you?
Go down the ballot, they won't stop. Vote the ticket unless we stop. Go down the ballot, play the top against the middle, against the bottom. Go down the ballot, the whole ticket. Vote the ticket, straight down the ballot. Go down the ballot, from the Appalachian Mountains to the valley out in Cali. Vote the ticket, go down the ballot. The whole ticket, vote the ticket. Vote the ticket, go down the ballot. The entire ticket. Vote.
Well, I know who I'm going to vote for president. That's great. How about everyone else? Don't know much about them. Probably will leave them blank or pick random people. Don't do that. Vote the ticket. Down ballot. Why? What does it matter? Start a wave. Wash out 2020 and start with a fresh 2021. Wash out 2020? Sounds good to me. I'll vote down ballot. Yeah, use your power so I can use mine when I turn 18. Vote the ticket. Vote down ballot.
Hey everybody, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The Shout Out Show.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Family, how are you? I'm Preacher Miles, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. I hope everybody's having a beautiful, productive, peaceful Sunday as we are on the horizon of the 2020 election upcoming on Tuesday. I hope everybody had a good day. I've had an interesting day, but always a blessed day. Any day I'm on this side of the dirt, you will not hear me complain, because if you're on the other side of the dirt, you won't hear me complain. So let me throw that out. We have a different show today. I leaned something. I really pulled something out just for election day. And it's something that inspired me when I was a kid to make me vote, to make me understand how important my voice is. I'm not going to give it to you right now. Let me give some shout outs. Anybody come out on the show for the first time, thank you for coming out, sharing your time. We hope that you enjoy your time here on the SOS, along with myself and our famous stars in the building. I call them the SOS family, the shout out soldiers. You will be familiarizing yourself with them. If you come on, listen, click the subscribe button. We're trying to get from 127 to 128 today. if at all possible. And on top of it, if you like the show, please click the link, the like button as well. So that's for everybody who has never been on the show. I got stars in the building, brothers and sisters. These are the SOS regulars. There's no SOS without these people. They all have different and distinct functions. I'm going to go right from the top. Sister Ree. Sister Ree is craft services for the Shout Out Show, official and unofficial craft services. Always giving delectable meals. Make sure your brother is well fed. Sister Satana is our consultant producer and will be hosting some segments upcoming, inshallah. She is a consultant producer, which means that if I don't coordinate with her and she doesn't get me organized, there's really no show. So the backstory of the Shout Out Show going into 200 episodes, I might add, it was a conversation I had with Sister Satana and conversations prior to that. And now here we are going into 200 episodes. Alhamdulillah, that's a mercy and a barakah and an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sister Naima Griffin, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I've seen you put your imprint on here. You had some great suggestions yesterday. I want you to know that. Some great information that you were sharing, and I took them to heart. And so I think when we do that show again, I'm going to expand on it. We're going to have some different kind of shows here, inshallah. And, of course, our unofficial research department, Sister Rabina, all the way from the UK, who has no hesitation with sharing the wealth of information that she's seeing from the other side of the pond, if you will, talking about the United States and some of the things that we've actually talked about on the show, some of the stuff, some of the unacceptable stuff from Netflix. Remember that? Wow, we talked about healthcare. And a big shout out to Sister Khadija Abdullah yesterday from the COVID-19 Prevention Network. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You got to shout her out because her job, brothers and sisters, is not an easy job. I love our community, but let's be honest. Sometimes our community can be really, really hard-headed about ideas they don't want to talk about. I didn't say ideas that they disagree with. I'm just talking about things they don't want to talk about. Well, brothers and sisters, you got to talk about some things, and they may not be pleasant. But you know what? It's not about them being pleasant. It's about them being discussed and people feeling whole about their experience in our community. And I mean not just for the Muslim community, but I'm talking about communities as a whole. So I want to move away from that. As you know, by this time next Sunday, we will have a president, whether it's Biden or whether it's Trump. My prediction is either way, there's going to be a whole lot of pain. It's said that this election, brothers and sisters, is something akin to the Civil War. In the Civil War, what was interesting was that both sides, the North and the South, felt that they were duly inspired by God to emphasize and enforce their will. The South thinking that slavery was a divine right, and the North saying it was not. And the North trying to, of course, make sure that the South didn't secede. That said, brothers and sisters, I'm seeing more and more weird stuff. I'm seeing tour buses now being almost run off the road. I'm seeing constant lying. Before I came on the broadcast today, I actually saw a commercial that just showed black faces. Donald Trump saying he got them out of jail. And the last line was, don't vote for Joe Biden. Regardless of political affiliation, regardless of how you feel about situations, how cheap do people think that the black folk is? The black vote is that cheap that you can just throw up a commercial, ninth inning Hail Mary, and people are going to resonate with that. And I think, I'm going to give the Biden camp some credit. I haven't seen a reply at, which would be basically, don't vote for Trump. Here's some more black faces. But my point is, if we have to start out, my point is, somewhere along the line, things have gotten lost. The logic is missing. Thus, the missing logic for 270. 270 has no more important an appeal than any election. 270 in Washington, D.C. is it's a byway in Washington, D.C. Going through Rockville and Virginia, 270. But next Tuesday, this 270 has the potential to change lives. Now, you heard me say what I said, and I meant that for a reason. What I'm predicting, for lack of a better word, brothers and sisters, as I walk around is pain. When I say pain, I mean it's not the pain of being right and wrong. That's a normal pain. It's the pain of not being able to be dishonest. It's the pain of not being able to oppress people. It's the pain of not having the wisdom of the crowd, especially when the wisdom is wrong, still, in some regards, hold prestige. Still, in some regards, be able to sway influence. Still, in some regards, appear to have a moral center. 270 on Tuesday is probably what we should call it. I've begun to get calls. People want me to come on their shows and da da da. And I'm like, maybe, maybe not. Because I have to say this, American politics has not been my favorite thing for a long amount of years. And it's not even in my own time, if you will. Then let's see, Danny Files goes, yes, brother, this is live. You have a question. As long as it's appropriate, I'm good to go. If you have a question, please ask. Yes, this is live, Danny Fowler. Danny Z. Falco. Okay, all right. Let's see, we're honest. Yes, it is, brother. So let me get back to my point. I've begun to ask the question, what's the aftermath? Because something happened along the way where a young man, he wasn't voting age, but the sincerity and the worry was there. And he asked me, Mr. Moss, what happens when this election is over? And he didn't ask about who's going to be president. He asked about the condition of the country. He asked that, he understands that politics is a flawed process. And the things that need to happen expeditiously, but they won't happen expeditiously. Good question. Will the citizens of the USA be offered free healthcare and education? I don't know. Because in one regard, if one president takes over, he has to clean up a lot of mess. If another guy becomes president, he gets to continue the facade of fairness, the facade of equity, the facade of justice, if you will. Let me say, what is this question, Brother Danny Falco said? And I said I don't have enough to give, so they jumped me and said it's just business. Okay, brother, I hope you're okay. So I don't know fully the question. So formulate the question, give it to me a little bit better, brother. All right. So my issue is, what do you guys think this country is going to look like? What do you think it's going to look like? I am of the era, I'm from the 60s. I was born in 66. So there's a pride and an aesthetic to going out and voting that we carry. Like, I hear about young folk disenfranchised going out to vote. And I think, in fairness, because they didn't have to fight for it. Their parents had to fight for that vote. Not even fight for the vote. In many regards, like my parents, they were denied the vote. So it's a bit cathartic when they go out and vote, because they can remember when, in their minds, they thought they never would vote. I mean, it came, but it came at such a steep price. But they thought they spent parts of their lives with no vote. So I'm going to put up Sister Naima. I think Biden's intentions are good, but he will be so preoccupied with other things, that education and healthcare may not be the most. Yeah. Well, I think the things you become occupied with, Sister Naima, Sister Griffin, is that you realize everybody needs something. You realize just how diverse this country is and how diverse the problems are, and even more, how diverse your solutions have to be. that it's an overwhelming thing. It's almost like it's almost like a new teacher. I can never really equate the feeling I'm about to tell you. um, as a new teacher, I walked into a classroom understanding that the students that I had severe need for instruction, for discipline, for compassion, for mercy, and literally in education. And I was like, where do I start? I was like, where do I start? Which one is the most important one? Sister Chowdhury, exactly my point. The two most important infrastructures to build a society is health and education of its citizens. I do believe that. I do believe that. I believe that education, consistent education, not just quality education, but consistent quality education has been a misnomer that people have overlooked for a lot of years. And education, even in this election, is being devalued. People don't believe in the truth. In a weird way or a very metaphysical way, truth is education. Falsehood is education. And you will build your mental infrastructure, your core values around what people are giving you, and even more so, what you're willing to go out and prove, what you're willing to go out and investigate. This has been an election whereby people don't even have to investigate whether something is true or it's false because the statements are just so extreme. And when I say this so extreme, I mean that it's not even close to the truth. You know, it's not a little white lie. I mean, in the media, God bless them, you know, they come up with the Pinocchios and da da da, and it's almost a novelty to lie these days. And when I say novelty, it means that, you know, it's a ha ha type of moment, not understanding that people's lives are being affected. Case in point, there's a report out that talks about George Floyd. They talk about the amount of times he was arrested before he was killed. You're talking a little under 20 times that this man has been arrested. Arrested. Not pulled over, not questioned, arrested. Say what you want, and I'll be respectful, but say what you want. But that creates a situation, that creates a particular type of anxiety that you can't overlook. We've all been in the neighborhood sometime and we were having a good time and we were kids jumping rope, ice cream, people playing checkers, and you heard that siren come down the street. You heard that siren come down the street. And all the goodwill and the good times that you had froze until the siren went by. And even when the siren went by, what was the overriding feeling? I wonder who they're looking for. I wonder what happened. And it was that overarching doom, if you will, that people in our neighborhoods felt like somehow our identities, our authenticity was assumed by police presence. Like when the police came, there was nothing good. You know, when the police came, it was trouble, it was problematic. And then the thing that I want to add about saying that is that when the police came, we somehow shrunk from ourselves. We somehow stepped back from the fact that I don't know why you're here, Mr. Officer, but nothing's going on. Not even understanding the process of why the police are there in the first place. The police are there to protect assets. As no longer slaves, the government, the philosophy, white supremacy, looks at African Americans as assets. So the police, in order to extract assets, they have the benefit of law. That benefit of law means that, hey, you might not have done something, but you got to prove it. And if you don't have a good lawyer, you're probably not going to prove it. You're going to do this time. There are a lot of people who are doing time for things they didn't do. But I digress. This potluck is the missing logic for 270. And the missing logic for 270, brothers and sisters, is this. Whether it's Biden or whether it's Trump, we need to rediscover, reinvest in, do a different valuation of our power, of our intellect, of our verve, of our swagger, of our spirituality, of our core values. These are the things that need to happen. Because all the other stuff that's going around, this is not new, but there has to be a new accord. There has to be a new discourse, and that discourse has to come from us in terms of people who are not just tired and frustrated, but people who are just as educated, just as strategic as the folks around us who think we are not. Think about that. Sister Rabina needs to be of priority and free. One cannot learn to research properly until they are taught the skills to research properly via a good education system. Just because you pay for an education does not mean it is a good education, equipping citizens for life. This is correct. I would say this is correct. In fact, I taught special ed severely the most disturbed. The children that get the most allotment in terms of student allotment money are special ed kids. And that's probably the worst run unit in public education, special education. So listen, I want to take everybody back. And the show's gone pretty quickly, so forgive me. But I want to take everybody back. I want to tell you, I want to show you guys something. The first time I recognize voting. Now, this is a woman who I hold in high esteem. You may have heard me talk about her before. But this is, I think, the only movie she ever did. It was a movie called Amazing Grace. And the woman I'm about to introduce to you is none other than Moms Mabley. Now, I love Moms Mabley for a lot of reasons. Her comedic timing, her comedic wit, her personality, her business strategy. But I also commend Moms Mabley because even though she was a comedian, a black female comedian back in the day, she commanded the respect and the attention of Lyndon Johnson back in '68. So this movie is called Amazing Grace, and this is just a little snippet, if you will. A little snippet, if you will. And Sister Rabina, I want you to watch this. I want you to watch this. This is an amazing transformational speech by Moms Mabley, who plays this character, but she was very, very politically astute. You know, she was the inspiration for me doing shows in the prisons. I don't know if I've ever said that before, but listening to her album, her comedy album, where she entertained inmates, made me want to do that. And this scene, as a young child, seeing it made me want to vote. So bear with me. I'm going to bring this up. Moms Mabley in her role of Amazing Grace. All right, everybody.
Better feel good. Because I'm telling you right now, Waters is going to be the man. I don't know whether y'all hear me or not, but I say Waters is going to be the man. And I'm so cook a good pot of greens. But you children is something else. I ain't nothing but the nigga. You children, you're the leg and the thigh and the dog meat of God's great chicken. And I want you to listen to Grace Teasdale Grind. You hear me? Y'all don't know me, but I'm your mother, honey. Oh, I mean, I got a daughter in New York City. Don't see her very much. I had a son, but he was in the war. And one day, on August afternoon, I got a telegram. First telegram I ever got. And I made up my mind that you were my children. You all are my children. And my children do what I tell them to. And I'm telling you to use those brains that God put in your head and go on out and turn this town upside down. Tell everybody that Walter is going to be the mayor. I'm glad. I'm so glad.
So what you didn't see behind the scenes is the fact that that speech was something that she made to actual African American youth, talking about voting, talking about, she said, we all got a mouth. And I'm going to reiterate her point. She said, we all got a mouth. And we use our mouth for everything else. We use our mouth to talk smack. We use our mouth to fuss. We use our mouth to sing. We use our mouth to cuss. We use our mouth to pray. She said, you all have a mouth. And that mouth is really an acronym for, not an acronym, but it's metaphorical for a presence, a value. And if we can get back to that point, despite who wins, brothers and sisters, coming this Tuesday, before that election, if we can have a forum just talking about us having a mouth in a way that she spoke. You see, there's nothing more poignant than to watch an elder tell you why they're in pain. Let me say that again. There's nothing more poignant to hear an elder tell you why they're in pain. Elders that I met, they could tell you stories upon stories upon stories about hardships and oppression that they had to deal with. But it had little to do with them. It had to do with systems. It had to do with laws. It had to do with apathy. It had to do with a lack of empathy. It had to do with everything that moved away from compassion and mercy. Now, the flip side of those stories, if you stick around long enough, is they tell you how they got above those things, how they got around the oppression, how they figured out the laws and make the laws work for them. And even now, in this particular point in time, this election is a referendum on law. Can I get the law to do what it's not supposed to do, which is uphold the law? Let me say that again. We are now in a situation where this is a referendum on law, getting law to do what it's not supposed to do, which is not uphold the law. So as you vote, you're going to vote your conscience. You know, as you protest, you're going to protest your conscience. As you pull a lever, or you have a ballot, absentee ballot, or you show up in person, understand, brothers and sisters, that this is a new dynamic, if you will. And these laws, if you remember the show we did a while back called we need to rewrite the damn Constitution. And I talked about how, as a community, particularly the African American Latinx community, we are not, hear me now, we are not very astute about constitutional law. And if this election goes the wrong way, and I'll say it right here, if it goes to Trump, it will be because we will not have a full understanding of constitutional law. And then we're going to trust people who are not going to practice it to actually interpret it for us. If you stop to think about it, the court, the highest court in the land, is in the spotlight. I've said it numerous times. In America, the ones who have power and who are weak, they always lean on the law. So this is no different, brothers and sisters. This will not be a different situation. The power of persuasion, the power of narrative, it'll go out of the window on Tuesday. And if we don't have a clear winner, it will move to the people who supposedly have the most brightest legal minds. We're supposed to trust their legal interpretation, their briefs, their dissent, all those things. I'll say, by the most part, I haven't read a lot of their cases. Let me say that. But I'm not alone. I haven't read a lot of their cases. I haven't read a lot of Sotomayor's cases, or I haven't read a lot of the new lady's cases, or Clarence Thomas cases, or Kavanaugh's cases. I've read some. I haven't read all. I've read some. And some of it is logical. It is, the backdoor way of upholding white oppression, white privilege, because those are who the laws are written for. Some of them have gone the other way. So I'm not going to say, I'm not going to castigate the Supreme Court, but I know a gang when I see one, and they were framed to be a gang. Just as well as forget the Supreme Court. 221 conservative judges have been put in place since Trump took office. 221. If each one of them imposed 10 laws or upheld 10 laws that were constitutionally suspect or not constitutional at all, are you really aware how long that would take to work through the legal system to correct itself? More than 4 years. The Supreme Court doesn't hear that many cases. What do you have, though? In the words of Mama Mabley, you got a mouth. And I expect, whether it's Biden or Trump, that you use your mouth and you emphasize that you have agency. You emphasize that you have value. You emphasize that you have intellect, and you let folks know, I have strategy too. So as I leave, brothers and sisters, I just want to put that out there. This Sunday potluck, the missing logic for 270, the missing logic is that we have to use our mouth. And you got to speak up and stop complaining to one another. Start talking to the people who are making the laws that affect you. Start harassing those people. Call their offices. Meet them in the parking lot. You know why? Because they work for you. It's not harassment. If I'm an employer and you're the employee, I pay your salary. I'm a taxpayer. I have questions you need to answer. So without further ado, brothers and sisters, I'm going to bounce because I have some work to do. I have some ads I got to put out, and I have some calls I need to make sure that we're all on the same page. Not just for Biden or Trump. Those are two people running for this office of president. I'm talking about us having a mouth, a collective voice that we're willing to inject, not just in this election, but after the election. I don't want to be seeing that young man that asked me, hey, Mr. Moss, what happened? You're an adult. You voted. What happened? Because it doesn't matter who wins. The prediction is pain. The prediction is sadness. The prediction is depression. And because of that, I seriously wonder what this world is going to be about. So I got some Sister Naima, they put tons of effort in the presidential election when these aren't the people who change things. It's the local elections that change our communities. Book it, Sister Naima. Book it. Because I've been saying that for the longest time. Elders need to be kept taken care of by their families in order to teach the young. Yeah. Old is gold. I love that. Sister Rabin, I'm going to use that. Old is gold. Because my point is, this election is it's a mandate on us, really. It's a mandate on us, really, because I'm gonna be honest. I like Obama. I liked a lot of stuff he talked about. But like many of you, I didn't fool myself like Obama's going to get in office and he's just going to change everything. He had to fight tooth and nail for Obamacare. They had to ramrod it through the Senate and the House, and it barely passed. And even now, in the middle of COVID, you have a collective body of people that are trying to get rid of Obamacare, with absolutely no alternative. And ironically, for those who don't know, it's open enrollment for Obamacare. So make sure you check into what is it? Something.gov. Go to the .gov. Sign up for Obamacare because it might not be here by the end of the year. But get your checkups, get your teeth clean, and all those type of things. You pay for it. So I'm gonna bounce. Everybody, I hope you have a great Sunday. And I'm laughing because I'm thinking of somebody who didn't come on the show, but they never set their clock for daylight savings time. So they'll be on an hour later, inshallah. But listen, you guys have been great. Have a wonderful day. Excuse me. Have a wonderful day. Have a very blessed week. Have a productive week. I will be here throughout the week. You know how I am. So if you want to dip in, check out the show, please do. And tell your friends, despite everything that's going on, they have a home on the Shadow Show. So God bless. Hope to see you soon. And I know you've probably heard it before, but don't forget to vote. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarifa Tar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifatar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.